Guys, it's Eva and welcome to Stars Hollow. That's what my shirt says. I wish I was in Stars Hollow, if you can see that. Or I was meant to live in Stars Hollow. That's why I'm getting this shirt, because she knows who I am. I have seen the Gilmore Girls I don't know how many freaking times. I've watched it all the way through, definitely multiple times, and loved it. Love every minute of it. Love the Netflix editions of it. I'm not going to be critique about it because me and Lorelai Gilmore could be like bestest of friends. And I grew up on that stuff a little bit. And then when I was older, it kept going. Absolutely loved it. Love Gilmore Girls. Definitely no shame. Okay, so the very first question is Lorelai.
It was either that or the broiler manual in the oven won because it's shiny and pretty.
And it is a humorous book or humorous character or something along those lines, or a fantastic book, a fantastic character. So the one book I always think is just funny and hilarious, and it is not fictional, it is a non-fiction, but it is Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. If you've read this, I've listened to the audiobook, I've read it, it's hilarious, it's funny. I think the cover is funny with the man hands and the furry, and I like this book. It made me laugh out loud so much. So many other books made me laugh out loud a lot, but I was like, was that the character? Was it like those situations they were in? So I had to go with this, even though it's not a fictitious book. This is my Lorelai book, definitely. And this book usually goes over here, I think. Anyway, number 2 is Rory. So this is favorite classic, because Rory reads all the classics and is a goody two-shoes and reads everything her teachers ever told her to.
Oh, well, these aren't all of my books.
Oh? Oh, my goodness.
And
I was gonna go with Jane Austen, but I'm a little bit bored of talking about Jane Austen. So I went with The Great Gatsby because this cover is beautiful. Not just that, I love this story. I don't know how many times I've read The Great Gatsby. Too many times. I want to read this version of it because I've got this beautiful cover at, I think it was Half Price Books. They had a bunch of these beautiful covered ones. But it is so short. It is so sweet. If you are assigned this in high school, just go ahead and read it. It is so good. It's one of the best romance stories of all time. I think I've marked it as the best romance story of all time probably a few different times. Absolutely love it. Love Gatsby. Absolutely love it. Very good job. And then number 3, my daughter's gonna open the door. Number 3 is Luke, a book that you are secretly in love with.
Just gotta tell you, before this thing goes on, you're gonna realize the only way out is in a body bag.
And now we don't have to write our vows.
But you're afraid to admit it. I don't own these books, but I would probably say, I've talked about them here on this channel, so I'm not super secretive about it, but it's probably the Black Dagger Brotherhood. I do love those books. I read so many of them. I haven't finished the series yet, but it is like... but it is a series that's super steamy, super out there, super fantasy, and not a lot of people would like it, so I do not recommend it a lot. Let me see. This looks a little crooked. Okay. Not a lot of people I would recommend it to a lot, but I do love them. Secretly, I do love them, and I'll put them up over here, and they're beautiful little covers, and they're a little out there. There are parts of the books I even skip, but yeah, I guess that would be probably the most secretive one. Oh, musical character, Elaine. For Elaine's question, I really wanted to find somebody like her, but I just couldn't think of one.
we've got a gig. I just love the sound of that.
So I was just going to go with the most recent musical character, which is Daisy Jones and the Six. I haven't reviewed this one quite yet, but this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Absolutely love her as an author. Tells a story about a young girl who is a singer, and tells a young girl that she's a singer and she's doing the nightlife in LA, and she just wants to sing at the Whiskey A Go Go, and her producer pairs her up with the Six, and they want to make them an ultimate band, romance, all that jazz. And I won't give anything away because it's a fairly new book, but yeah, this is the one I picked for Elaine. Number 5. Dean, First Love. I don't know if this was like First Love book, so I chose 2 of these.
Get off the bus. Hey, he has to get off the bus.
You're forgetting something. Buses make stops.
Or like a book with First Loves in it. So I chose 2. Okay, so my First Love book, I was in the 3rd grade, didn't really care for reading that much. Because we were reading those stories like Brown Bear Went Here and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, and then this book came into my life, and it is Holes by Louis Sachar, I don't know. It was amazing. It's what made me fall in love with reading. I was gosh, was I 7 or 8? I don't really know. It's what made me fall in love with reading. I get why it won the Newbery Prize back in the day. Absolutely loved it. Didn't love the movie so much, but absolutely love this book. Every third grader out there should definitely read this book. Or if you're not in third grade, you should read this book. It's so good. Made me fall in love. My favorite first love story, it's probably Rainbow Rowell's Algernon Park. This one is so sweet, and it ends like you think a first love should end. It's a little bit sad, but I had been in a reading slump when I was reading a bunch of books, and I was like, gosh, this is bad, gosh, this is bad. And I came across this book, and it was so good. And so I think it was just like a bit euphoric that I put on this book. And so for me, in the moment, I absolutely loved it. And it's a great first love book if you're looking for a first love book. It's about this girl who doesn't really think she fits in, and this guy kind of fits in with a lot of people, and she's got this big hair and she feels awkward and weird, but he notices her, and they listen to music together, and that's how they connect. But I absolutely love this. Absolutely recommend this as a first love story. And yeah, I really like this one. I really like Dean. I did like Dean. He was my favorite. It's Jess, but no, maybe not. Okay. Number 6, Sookie. I love Sookie. Name a book that you devoured.
Oh, well, and the chop flew, so I lunged, and then the floor slipped, and then, whoo, and I just flipped, you know? I guess you just kind of had to be there.
Yes, apparently so.
And I'm just going to say it for the billionth time. I devour Pam Janoff books. Like all of these. Just read them all. Read them all. There's not one you won't like. Read them all. But the one that started it out was this book. My mom told me to read it over and over again. I was like, I haven't read it. And then one night I was just like, you know what? I can't sleep. It was like over a Christmas vacation or something. And I pulled out this book around like midnight, 11 o'clock, and I didn't stop reading it. And I finished the whole book. So I know I devoured this book and every other book she's ever written, I should say. Absolutely love her as a writer. Start off with this one. It's her first. The book is about a girl who was like married barely for like 3 weeks. Nazi tanks roll in. She goes to live with another family who is Catholic, and she sneaks in and she ends up working for the Commandant. And for some reason, you end up, the way she wrote the Commandant, you kind of end up liking him a little bit. And he's a Commandant of a Nazi camp, so you should not like him at all. But that's where the story goes. The Commandant's girl, hence who she is. She's Jewish. Yeah. Jess, a book that you love that everybody hates. So I don't have a good one for this because I think a lot like a lot of people. So I had to go through Goodreads, which I don't record a lot of books that I read on Goodreads, but most of the time I try to lately. So I looked for the biggest gap, and my biggest gap was I gave Panic by Lauren Oliver a 5-star, and it's 3.5 stars on there. But this is one of those things too where I was in like a YA reading slump, and I didn't really like a ton of YA novels, and they were all predictable and they were all kind of the same. And then I fell across this book and I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. That was so well done. So I like read everything by Lauren Oliver now. I absolutely love her as an author. I've read a lot of her stuff and I like her a lot. But yeah, Panic was one of those things that got me out of a slump. And I would say a lot of people do like this. I heard it's going to be turned into a movie, but it hasn't been turned into one yet. But I think it would make a really good movie. And it's like one of the first YA contemporaries I actually truly enjoyed. Okay. Book I'm Ready is Miss Patty book, and it's a book that was totally ruined by its hype. And I'm going to have to give this to my favorite author ever, really, J.K. Rowling. So, The Casual Vacancy, I actually truly enjoyed this book and liked this book, but there was so much hype around it and her writing a new book, and I think it kind of completely got destroyed because people expected one thing and she wrote the complete opposite of it. And I don't know if this was a great launching book. I like this. I think I would have liked it more if she had put it out like now and she had already done her detective series and the other books she did. But this book, being her first book after book number 7, I think kind of got destroyed by the hype. And for some reason going into it, I was like kind of against it. But I enjoyed the book. It was a completely different read for me. I keep it around because she's my favorite author. I don't know if I'd keep it around if it wasn't that it says J.K. Rowling on it, but I did like it. It was a completely different read. I wasn't mad at it. I liked the characters, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I have to give this one sadly to this book. There's still a lot of other books that have been really overhyped that I've read and I just don't like, but there was kind of a lot of those and I couldn't choose between them, so that's why I ended up choosing The Casual Vacancy. So this one I would call The Gilmores. I don't know what they usually call it, but this is the most expensive book you have. So the Gilmores are very posh people.
backpacking and staying in hostels?
Who's backpacking and staying in hostels?
We are.
No, you're not.
What a ridiculous thought.
We are. I don't know why I'm talking about that. So the most expensive book I have is a J.K. Rowling book. So this book is beautiful, number one, okay? I don't know how much it is because it was an anniversary gift. I just know it's the most expensive book I have. But it's got a beautiful cover on it. So it's a different kind of, it's a different kind of Deathly Hallows book. Definitely my favorite book of the series overall, and the artwork in this is different than any other Deathly Hallows book. So there's actual like artwork in this book, and specifically the reason why this book was sold like this, because it was sold for the artist's signing. So the woman who did all of the US Harry Potter books has signed this book, and it was signed at the signing. So that's why you got this special book with special artwork in it, is because it's all her artwork, I do believe. Let me go to the signed-in page. Yeah. So Mary Grandpierre. And look, there's colorful artwork in it. It's beautiful. And there's her little signature. And so this book is precious to me. I haven't even read this copy of it because I don't want to crease it or do anything mean to it. I have stared at the pictures, which are really cool. So yeah, this book is just a really unique Harry Potter book. I know there's not a ton out there, and so I don't know the price tag. I just know it's expensive. It's more expensive definitely than the illustrated versions, which those are expensive books, the illustrated versions by which I really like. Okay, and so the last one is a book about Paris. The last book is the Successfully Driven Characters, and I had to think there are a lot of success-driven characters, a lot of businessmen, a lot of successfully driven women, but I gotta think of people who are just like outright ruthless, because sometimes Paris is. And there are a lot of books that I've read that have very successful women, but the ones I always think of that kind of did everything in the means of success are a lot of, if you can see back here, Philippa Gregory's novels. And this one right here, which I couldn't take out of the stack, is The Other Boleyn Girl. This book is scary how much they want success and how much this whole entire family wants success and depends on it. As well as the, I don't know if it's not the Virgin's Lover. As well as the one about Jane. One about Jane is ruthless, like her whole family. So any of Philippa Gregory's books up here, if you can see them all, or I'll put it up here, The Other Boleyn Girl, have very driven female characters that are actual people in history. Yeah, it's fictitious plots. She comes, well, not plots, but fictitious storylines, and their emotions are always fictitious, but the plots and the history are always very well researched. She does a very good job. And these people will do absolutely anything and sacrifice almost everything, which reminds me of Paris a little bit. Paris isn't that high strung or that bad, but yeah. I mean, and you think of Paris, it's like kind of like history, like she's embedded herself into something. So I hope you guys liked this Gilmore Girls tag. I absolutely loved doing it. I loved thinking of books for all these people, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!